Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got a balanced rack. It looks close to a bingo. I'm not seeing a 7. There could be an 8. F and M together, not particularly bingo-y. Now, the Q is non-bingo-y. What about the I? No, not seeing anything. Fortunately, I've got an I for going under the Q or an N for going after it. So, what's best here? I can't see any INF words. I feel row I will take out the Q. We'll take out both spots for scoring off the Q. But can I split up duplicate A in this spot? I don't think Fina is good. And I do need to prioritise sorting the rack out. So what about Naif for 20? Is this offering too much? What would be the alternative? Well, Mina for 22 doesn't offer very much. Yeah, I am. Am I going with this? Yes, I am. That didn't feel great, fortunately. I think this is a reasonable rack for dumping the F next turn. I've got Oaf. I've also drawn another N for Chin in 2 spots. I think Minor takes E, R and S. So it's always doesn't feel great when you're playing a word with multiple hooks. No bingos here, 7 or 8 that I can see. So I think Oaf looks best in terms of sorting the rack out. Only my E can go after Minor, discounting the S. Great, just 7 points for opponent. Floating U, not helpful with a vowel-heavy rack. So, is there anywhere for Oaf? I don't think so. So, what's my next alternative? And can I get value from the Q? Well, I could do this. This is so vowel heavy, 26 points. Or I could do this for 11 fewer points, dumping the O. I think that's actually fairly close. Yeah, this is a much better rack leave. Can I extend it by 1 more square? I don't think I can. Yep, I am going with this. Great, I draw the Z, which is a nice scoring tile. And this looks close to a bingo, but I'm not seeing one. But I will have lots of candidate plays with the Z. Adds is good, with and without an E. Zin is good. Moz is good. But could there be a bingo here? Where are the floaters? There's an F. Not seeing anything. What about the A? No. And U? No, so I'm not seeing a bingo here. Wow, fantastic bingo by opponent. 78 points. Do any of the new floaters give me a bingo? H? No. O? No. B? No. Now this is a really nice looking Z spot. How to get best value from it. Well, I could play ZA. Wow, that sets up a lot. There are a lot of scoring tiles which go to the left of AB, including the J, so that doesn't feel great. What about playing Res instead? That takes a T in front and a P, but this rack leave is really good. And this is 51 points. Can I do any better? What about a play across from the L? That's not going to score as much. What about a play in row K? Again, I don't think it's going to score as much. I could play Days, keeping ERS. 49 points, so a comparable score. But these are 4 good tiles, and they go well with the R. And I trail, so I think this is the play. Well, slightly vowel heavy. But could there be a bingo here? Not a 7. Where are the floaters? Just F and A. Not seeing anything with the F. And vowels unlikely to be helpful with this rack. PEH is good. So, oh wow, 38 points for opponent. That's good. Just looking at these 2-letter sets, Far and Axe, but I'm not seeing a bingo. Likewise with EH and ZO. I've got an E for going under Axe, so I think row L is going to be the best spot for scoring. So I've got PED for 38. I don't think pedo is good. And if I put the O this side, there's a ton of floaters which can go in front. So what about a play beginning Dep? What about Depose for 52? Still 2 S's to come. Quite tempting. Now I've got a P for Prez, but I think I do need to play down the bottom. FAE is good. So what about playing deep for 45, retaining the S and not providing anything great? An alternative to this would be P'd, and I've got the S for going in front of it, but with 2 S's and a blank to come, that's very volatile. And I think given that I only trail by 60 and this scores 45, I don't need to introduce that level of volatility. I'm going with this. Wow, lots of O's. So opponents got their bingo down, and I have still to bingo myself. I can play Loof in row H. 21 points, that's better than changing. What about getting value from the Z? Well, the best I can see there is just double O for 18, and that's not keeping a good rack. Fey takes nothing after it. Great, just 18 for opponent. I don't have a front hook for Res. Wow, I've got F for FEH and A for ZO, but it's the O's that are problematic. And I could play oof at the top, but what does that take in front? C, G, H, L, and it goes on. So I think taking account of the board as well as score and rack leave, Loof in this spot looks best, but is it? Nothing goes after Res. Yeah, I feel slightly badly about this play because the rack leave is so bad, but with 3 O's, an A and an I don't think I'm going to be able to sort this rack out in one. I'm going with this. And this does keep the board open and provide 2 new floaters, even if they're not great ones. So I have 8 Osiers. Does that play? Berg takes an S, but not in last place. 8 Osiers and Co-Aetas are the bingos here. Neither plays. But it does. I have a T for Trez. Fantastic. And it's Coatas which plays. Atosia's not quite enough space. Is opponent going to shatter my dreams? And do I have anything through F and O? O looks very unlikely. What about F? Likewise. Fey takes nothing after it, so row M, not that hot. Nep only takes an S. So it's difficult to get value from the X. Opponent unlikely to play in row B. Unless they have a bingo, because they'll be providing access to row A. And it's hard to put a high value tile on this triple. Letter square followed by a P or a T. But what if my bingo's blocked? Almost unthinkable. Do I have anything through the G? No. And another reason for opening the board up is it provides more options for opponent to play. So if you have a particular spot you have your eye on, it increases the chances of it staying available. Of course, opponent may play down column 10. That would be immensely galling. Have I really exhausted all bingo lanes? Does Berg only take an S? Well, it doesn't take anything else that I've got. Opponent changes. Fantastic. So this is what I have. I have Coatas for 74. Wow, not a bad pick for 7 random tiles. I have created a super hotspot with this triple word square. But look at this, there are 2 super hotspots. I've got JA in the middle, but do I have anything top right beginning JA or J with any vowel? Jiao, Jiao. Wow, that has worked out incredibly well. It could have been really wretched if my rack lead was poor and opponent scored well. Do I have anything down column 8 getting the J doubled? Don't think I do. So something O, something J. No. And my best play in the middle, I think, is Jag, which would leave EIOT, not a bad rack leave. 43 tiles in the bag. Or 43, in the bag, I think. Oh, wow. Fantastic bingo by opponent. Fortunately, I can play Jiao, but is there any alternative to Jiao? There's Jota. And Jato. And this is a better rack leave. Or is it? Which is better, GEI or GET? 4 eyes to come. I think Jiao is a better play. I know we're meant to like vowels more than we're used to. But let me see how many are still to come. 14 out of 43. Wow, not many vowels. So, and quite a few T's to come. So let me go back to Jato and Jota. 76 points. I am going with this. Wow, I draw the second blank. And a slew of scoring tiles. I lead by 50. Can I hang on? Now, what I didn't consider last term was a play through this R. I think I had Jurga for 58. Well, that's less than the 76 I scored. But it would have been nice to spot it. Gosh, opponent leaves alone this O spot. This must be useful for me. So what goes above the I, P and K? So I have Kep. Good grief. This is going to score well. 51 points. I and G go well together because of ING. 3 N's to come. W is a scoring tile. I'm not going to get rid of all 3 of P, W and K because I think I have to play above this O. Just wondering if I have a play vertically in column 8, but I'm not seeing it. It would be nice to play off K and W and retain the P, but I can't do that either, so I'm going with this. Oh, wow, that's a bad pick. Fortunately, I've got an 80-point lead and the blank. So how to sort this rack out in one? Not easy. Still 2 U's to come. Hopefully opponent might be struggling with a lack of vowels. We shall see. 30 points for Wiley, so that was a decent score. But what am I going to do? This ZO hook remains available for the D. So a play of Gwyd somewhere would sort the rack out. What about this R? Can't get the W tripled. I could play Willy through the L, disrupting bingo lanes and getting the W tripled, but not scoring very much. Wow, tricky rack to have, but it's not dreadful. There is a mixture of vowels and consonants, and I will have candidate plays. Still 9 minutes on my clock, 26 tiles, unseen or in the bag. Trez doesn't take anything after it. C only takes an H after it, 1 H to come, so that's a 50-point 5-letter lane. Gin is good, but I can't play Gwyd in that spot. I've got Guild in row N. Interesting. Leaving WI blank. That feels quite nice. It feels better than keeping GUD blank. And it turns over 1 more tile. Still both these to come. 11 minutes on opponent's clock. I think this is a tricky board for both of us. Great, just 13 points for opponent. Opponent provides a nice W spot, but I haven't got the right vowel to get it to play twice. So this is what I'm thinking. Guild for 9. Which mainly sorts the rack out. My lead is only 70, so a bingo would bring opponent right back into it, and I think this L is the most likely bingo floater. Although I've got the blank, the rest of my rack was so non-bingo-y that I think it makes sense to take out this floater, especially because opponent needs it a lot more than I do. Wow, not a bad rack at all. This looks very balanced. There may not be a bingo here, but even if there was... Oh, wow, fantastic. 91-point bingo for opponents. So, I now trail. Gosh. And can I come back with this rack? Just checking for IFY words in column 15, but they would have to begin with an O. So there could be a bingo here. I've got 5 floaters to consider. W and Y not promising. Trainway might be good, but that doesn't fit. Any bingos through R, E and I have to begin at the top and have R, E and I in third place. The R looks most useful. But what about an ing ending? That's with tway. The O is the least restricted. The O and the G, or the O rather, it can begin with an O. Wow, so many floaters to have in mind. I'm sort of having in mind O and R. Fortunately, 7 minutes. Now, interesting. What about doing this? Oh, well, twoy not good. I was thinking tway. 6 minutes on my clock. So mainly thinking about, well, nightway not good. Mainly thinking about O and R. Tornally is the 7 that I saw. That doesn't play. Waypoint needs a float. No, that doesn't work with this O. Six minutes on my clock. Interway not good. Wow, I don't think there's a bingo here. I can't see a way of getting a big tile on this, underneath this O. Wow, what a tricky position to be in. Well, what about doing this? Warty for 38, keeping a really good 3-letter set, leaving alone all these floaters, forcing opponent to perhaps make a parallel play, not scoring very much, because if they play in column 1, there'll be a floating R and E. I think this is the play. 38 points, getting rid of both W and Y. I am going with this. So, only one vowel. What about the O? Possibly Tondino's. What about the E? And I have to begin in first place. 45 points for opponent. 3 tiles in the bag. I do need to bingo now. 4 minutes on my clock. This rack plus an E. Double N not helpful. Dentines doesn't work, and desinant doesn't work. Stending does work. This is going to be 68 points, 470. I'm going to lead by 46. Look what's remaining. I think opponent's going to need to bingo to win, and I don't think they will. Wow. And I draw ENT, which is a pretty kind set. Surely I am going out in one with this. So, where are my 2 outs? I have 10, ST, and CH. What else do I have? I have teen in column 13, so I am guaranteed to go out. Phew, standing it. It wouldn't surprise me if that is the only bingo. But at least there was one. Wow. Ogreish was a fantastic spot by opponents. And the 45 for Clover was pretty handsome as well. We're both over 400 points. Is opponent bingoing with what's left? I don't think so. Not a nice looking rack at all. So I've got teen in column 13 for 19 points. Can I score any more? 14 for 10 in row D. I don't think either of us have got extensions to Clover. That might have been an alternative route to victory for opponent in the absence of a bingo. Just looking around the board for alternative spots for 10, not seeing any. So relieved to see standing. I was going through the alphabet with the blank and I wasn't feeling great. Although the E was a nice floater, it had to be in third place and I had only one vowel on my rack, and both of those features limited my expectations of finding a bingo. So 8 minutes on opponent's clock. Warty, well, it takes an S in front, that's not playable, and there are no S's left. $22 for opponents, so this is the best I'd seen. Teen for 19. And the final score, 446 for opponent, 501 for me, a winning margin of 55 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what an epic game. That was fantastic stuff. So it was opponent to go first. They played Chi. And, oh, Naif playable under Chi. Yeah, I play Mina, so... and Feign playable in the same spot. I think I was reluctant to provide access to this triple word square, and Naif, although burning the F, would have allowed a big 5-letter play, so I don't think Mina is terrible. Opponent's rack. They play O. What do? I play Fano for 15. Fina's available. Wow, burning the S, but getting 22 more points. I think that would have been worth doing. Great bingo by opponent with hobbles, but slow bush E11. Double through the U. Wow, tricky one to see. Now, my rack, I get 51 for Res, and the same score for Dazer, but my rack leave is better, so I like my play. Opponent plays Axe. Now, Pedo is good with AE. Yeah. Where's that playing? Oh, because FAA is good, so I think that would have been the play. Instead, I get one fewer points, but have an inferior rack leave. Opponent plays a Berg, and I have this tricky rack. I don't think keeping 3 O's can possibly be best, so I like my play of Loof. Opponent changes, and now I have coators for 74, and this launched me into the lead. Opponent's rack, wow, fantastic spot of Twangia, and my lead very short-lived. I now trail by 20. However, I have Jato for 76, which is a bingo-y score, so I retake the lead. Opponent plays Wiley, and wow, Gauk playable for 51, keeping a nice rack leave. What do? I play Kep for the same score, but I think keeping a worse rack leave. There is a shortage of vowels, and E has got to be better than W, even if there wasn't. Opponent plays Vi. I was just checking if they had an S, and they did, because Gauk, of course, opens an S lane, but I don't think they had a bingo with that rack. Now, my rack's awful, and I play Guild for 9, and I sacrifice points in order to improve the rack leave. The rack leave of GIUW is just horrendous. And look at this, absolutely superb bingo by opponent of Ogreish. And a game which I was comfortably ahead becomes one in which I trail, and there are only 12 tiles in the bag. So, did I have a bingo? I didn't. But I did have Warty for 38. And that scored well and kept a good rack leave. Opponent plays Clover for 45, so I now trail by 22. There are 3 tiles in the bag, and here we go. How many bingos were available? Just the one. Wow. Okay, well, delighted to have spotted that. And I think spotting it gave me the win, because opponent does not have a bingo or a big score. They play and I go out with teen for 19. But what a game. Absolutely epic stuff. And superb bingos from opponent, Hobbles, Twangia, and Ogreish, and big scores with Clover and Wiley. So a great score for opponents of nearly 450, but I was able to eclipse that with a 500-point score, and everything turned on the standing play. If I hadn't spotted that bingo, I think it's very unlikely I would have won. But super exciting stuff. Many thanks to opponent for a great battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time.